everybody, it's Sheila from Life on Turkey Lane. I hope you guys are doing awesome today. It is an absolutely gorgeous day here in the Ozark Mountains of Missouri, and I don't know if I've ever really showed you guys the back area of our house too much, and it's a real mess right now. Andy has agreed to put me in a few more raised garden beds back here, and we're going to try to get them filled with some soil this year. We had a problem a couple years ago when I started putting the garden in of actually getting soil. We had a real rainy season and nobody would deliver and nobody would let us load any to bring back here. And then I hurt my back, so it was just a big mess. But this year I think we're gonna, and I'm not gonna show you that area. It is very messy, not in great shape. But today let's talk about foraging. I'm sure that is a word that many of you, if not all, have heard of, but is it something that you've actually done? That's the question. I know a lot of people are scared of it because maybe they think, well, you know, I don't want to eat any kind of greens or things that I don't get from the grocery store because they might be poisonous or whatever. And yes, there are lots of poisonous things on this planet that would really hurt you. However, if you do a little bit of research and you get to know some of your plants, our gracious Almighty God provides us with a whole bunch of free greens and plants that are edible and that are also medicinal to help us out. And today I'm gonna talk about a couple and show you a couple. In the springtime is for the most part, when you do a lot of the foraging, you know, because that's before you start mowing the grass and before when the lawns are taking off and those spring greens are just coming up, and that's when they're the best. And that's when you harvest them and forage for them. And so today I'm going to discuss a couple, and I think we're going to harvest some and take it inside and even make a little recipe. So let me aim you down here. Like I said, I'm in the backyard. We haven't mowed yet for the season. You may be able to hear in the background that we have a neighbor a little ways away here that's got their lawnmower going today. So I wanted to harvest some of this stuff before we start mowing the grass and make sure I can get it fresh and that there's a good supply of it. The first one we're going to talk about is dead nettle, purple dead nettle. And now that may be a scary word to somebody. For a lot of people, you're wondering, well, if it's got the word dead in it, it may not be the greatest. So let me explain to you why it's called dead nettle. You may have heard of stinging nettle, which is, some people call it a superfood, a super green, that a lot of people forage for and harvest in the springtime for lots of particular reasons. And the reason why, that's called stinging nettle, because it has some little hairs and fibers on it and some chemicals and different things on it that is irritating to people's skin when they pick it, and that does need to be cooked. If you're going to consume it, it needs to be cooked to kind of get all of the stinging out of it, okay? So, and don't let that scare you either. A lot of people do very successful at harvesting and cooking up the stinging nettle. The reason why what I'm going to show you today is called purple dead nettle is because it's considered dead because it don't have those stinging properties. It's not going to irritate your skin and it's not going to hurt you to eat it raw, okay? So let me aim you down here. Now I've got a pretty big patch back here and I'm hoping that you'll be able to see it. And probably most of you, if even in your neighborhood, if you've passed by different houses that have like kind of like you can see in their yard, there's quite a bit of a purple hue. They've probably got quite a big bunch of the purple dead nettle. So first let's talk about that one, and then we're going to talk about one that looks similar to the purple dead nettle and grows usually right next to it. And it's also edible and harvestable. But let's talk about the purple dead nettle first. So let me get you down here, and we're gonna get close to the ground here. Okay, as you can tell, and I'm gonna have to get down here on the ground, so when I get up, I'm probably gonna be a little damp, but that's okay. So as you can tell, I've got a pretty good carpeting here of this, what is called purple dead nettle. And if you've never seen it before, I'm gonna go ahead and post a picture, a little picture and a short video right here. And then, so you know what this looks like so you can identify it. But let me go ahead and bring you up a sprig right now. Now you can see this purple dead nettle. Let me see if the camera will aim in on it some. The leaves are kind of triangular shaped, and there's like a little bit of like a purplish hue on the topmost leaves. And even a lot of these have small purple flowers on them. The stem is square, and this is in the mint family. However, it does not smell like mint and does not taste like mint, but it is in the mint family. It might have a little bit of a flavor of like an asparagus. And you might ask, well, why would I want to harvest this and why would I want to eat it? Well, like I mentioned, a lot of these herbs that grow in the spring, and this is what it is an herb, have some medicinal qualities. And this particular one, the purple dead nettle, is a good like antihistamine. So if you have some like hay fever, or like the spring hay fever, this might help you with that. Also, it has some inflammatory properties and several other benefits. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to clip some of this and put it in our little basket that I have here. And I'm going to put my little garden gloves on first. And I'm going to go ahead and harvest a bunch of this. Okay, so let me get these gloves on here. Not because these are dirty. And there are a few hard and fast rules of foraging that you should know. Not anything horrible. But when you're foraging, you want to make sure to forage in places that you know have not been sprayed with chemicals or pesticides, herbicides, anything like that. At places that are high traffic, like say right next to the road where cars pass by and their emissions come off of their car. You don't want to be eating anything that has any of that on there. Okay, so, and now I see, not only do I see purple dead nettle here, but I also see some clover, which is another spring edible. I don't have a whole lot of it in this area, but I'm just going to go ahead and harvest a whole bunch of this. Now as you can see, I've got a pretty nice bunch of that, and I haven't harvested everything. I mean, there's more than twice as much of this left over here. And you may ask, now what are you going to use this for? You know, it may be a good antihistamine, anti-inflammatory, but what are you going to do with it? How are you going to use it for those properties? And like I said, this can be eaten raw in like a salad or some other recipes. But I'm going to, for the majority of it, I'm going to dehydrate it and use it for tea. but we are also going to do a recipe using some of it today. Now, I will say that when you are foraging, and if you have never eaten these things before, it's not that they're poisonous. They're not. This is not going to poison you in the slightest. But if your system and your body is not used to ingesting this, then you probably should go small at first and just do a tiny bit, you know, dehydrate some and make you a cup of tea and drink, you know, a cup of tea every couple days, so your body adjusts to it, just in case it would maybe upset your tummy for some reason or something like that. You know, just because something is not poisonous doesn't mean you're not allergic to it, though most of the time that's not the case. So anyway, that's just a word of caution. And now let's go, and we're going to now harvest a wild edible that looks similar to this in some ways, and usually grows right next to it in a lot of areas, so that you can be aware of what that is. It's kind of a wild look-alike. It is also edible, and I've got some of that in my yard too, and so we're going to pick some of that. It is called henbit or hen nettle, hen dead nettle. There's several different names, but the most common name is henbit. So we're going to go and harvest some of that. Okay, now henbit is also growing in my backyard, and I'm going to clip a piece of it off and show you what it looks like. It's got purple flowers on it, and I'll post a video up here, or a little picture that shows you a good one. But here is henbit, and it also has purple flowers. And instead of the leaves being triangular shaped, they are round. Oh, you guys need to go home. Okay, and so I've got a good bit of this henbit in the yard here. And I'm sorry if you see a couple big dogs roaming around. There's been dogs roaming through the neighborhood today. And yeah. They seem to be friendly, though that's kind of worrisome. I don't like that at all. But I'm just going to start harvesting this henbit. And it also is in the mint family. I think you can hear my little chickens are not real happy with these strangers roaming around back here. Okay. This henbit, it has medicinal properties as well, and some of those include anti-inflammatory properties, diuretic properties, and the purple dead nettle as well. They both help with like kidney function. This henbit is great for like if you have chronic pain. Now, I would venture to say you probably have to take it in mass quantities and doses for it to completely eliminate your pain, but it's supposed to be really good at alleviating some of that. So I'm going to finish harvesting this, and then we're going to go and take a look at one more thing. Okay, so now as you can see, I have got a good bunch of the henbit as well, and I haven't harvested all of it that I have either. It's growing in abundance here in the yard, and now I know my yard is safe. We don't spray it with any kind of pesticides or herbicides, and as a matter of fact, I'll probably pick up a few ticks being out here today. We didn't really have a cold enough winter to kill those off. But anyway, now we're going to go to another part of the yard and we're going to harvest one more thing. Okay, so now guys, I brought my basket to a different part of the yard, and I don't know, the sun's kind of in my eyes, so I don't know how much you can see out here. Now we have some tall grasses growing. Like I said, we haven't mowed the yard. We haven't started mowing for the season, but we do have some good edibles up here that the good Lord has provided for us. And so if you can see these tufts of looks like tall grass right here, those are actually wild onions, or some people call them yard onions. And you can just, instead of pulling them all out of the ground, I'm just going to pull them up in their bunch, and I'm just going to cut the tops off, just like that. And now these can be used in your recipes as like chives or like little green onions tops, and we're going to use those in our recipe today too. And I've got little tufts of these all over the yard here, and I'm just going to go through and I'm just going to harvest them. I'm going to grab them up, like I said, in a little bunch, just like that, and cut the tops off. Okay, so here we have our harvested spring greens, very nutritious. And so let's take them inside and get them prepared. Okay, so I'm back here in the kitchen, and I've got my basket of stuff, our spring herbs, and let me just show you this bunch of spring onions, or garlic, yard onions. Look at that, big bunch. Now, I'm not going to use all of this today in my recipe, so I'm going to go ahead and dehydrate a lot of this too. And most of these herbs I'm going to dehydrate. The purple dead nettle I'm going to use primarily as a tea, and the henbit as well, primarily as a tea. So, but I'm going to clean up a few of these things. Now you can see that I've got some, like a little bit of stuff in these grasses that are kind of dead or brownish, and I'm just going to pull those off and clean them up, and they'll be fine. We're just going to use the green part. So I'm going to get these few things cleaned up and lay them out on a towel to dry, and then as soon as they're dry, we're going to come back and make our little recipe. To clean our foraged herbs up, I'm just going to put some, let me put this out. I want cold water in my sink, and I'm just going to stop my sink up with this little lid here. It's a lot easier than bringing out the little plug thing. And so now I'm going to turn my water to cold, and I'm going to make sure it's cold. Okay, and I'm just going to plug my sink up, put some cold water in there, and now we're not going to wash these with any kind of soap or anything because we're going to be eating them fresh. I'm going to put just a little bit of distilled white vinegar in it. I mean, just a teaspoon or so, not much at all. Okay, and I'm just going to stick my little onions right down in that cold water, just for a little bit. Make sure if there's any kind of little critters on them or any dust, that it just comes off of there. And while I have them here in the sink, I'm just going to go ahead and pick out the things that are kind of brown and that we don't want to use in our recipe. Okay, so I've got all the little kind of like brownish pieces out of there for the most part. Probably got a few little things up here on top, but we can kind of cut those off in a little bit. Now I'm going to put them on a towel here and let them dry. Just going to spread them on my little towel right here and let these dry. Okay, so now I'm just going to wash up the purple dead nettle and the henbit and lay them out on this towel also to dry. And when they're dry, we're going to come back and I'm going to share a recipe with you. Okay, y'all, so these harvested edibles that I've harvested out of the yard here today have been washed up and they're dry. And I'm telling you, I've got a nice harvest here. And like I said, most of these are going to be dehydrated for teas, with the well, the wild garlic or wild onion, whichever you want to call them. There's a couple different wild onions. Usually the wild garlic, and this is more like a wild garlic or wild chive because the leaves on them are round and they're hollow. So, but either way, when you harvest them, if you smell them, you'll know that they're in the allium family because they're going to smell like onion or garlic. And these definitely have the onion smell. Very good. And but anyway, yeah, I've got a pretty decent harvest here today. Let's just take a look at that. Okay, so as you can see, we got a really good harvest. Now I want to go over again one more time just a couple things about foraging wild edibles. Some, like I said, some like hard and fast rules. First, you want to make sure that if you are going to forage, that you've done your research, that you know what you're looking for, and that you know what you're harvesting. Most of these don't have any poisonous look-alike. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to say they don't. I've never seen any. These are pretty distinctive plants that most likely you have growing every spring in your yard. All of these have different medicinal benefits, so they're good for you. The purple dead nettle, both the purple dead nettle and the henbit are both in the mint family, and this is the purple dead nettle, and it's got like a little purple top on it. It usually has some little purple flowers, and the leaves are triangular shaped, and the stem is square. It's in the mint family, so it does not smell like mint or taste like mint. But anyway, what I was talking about is hard, fast rules. Don't forage anything if you're not familiar, if you haven't done your little bit of research to know that you're not picking something or cutting something that's poisonous for you. And if you do decide to start foraging, these things are very easily identifiable. But if you've not eaten something like this before, you don't know if you have an allergen to them, or you may have an allergic reaction. So you want to take it slow and easy, and only take a little taste of it in the raw. Or if you're going to dry it for tea, have 1 cup of tea. Wait a couple days before you have another one to make sure that you haven't had any stomach issues or any kind of adverse reactions to it, okay? It may not be poisonous, but if your body's not used to it, you don't want to overload and eat like a huge salad with a whole bunch of these greens in it, especially mixed up, because you may not know which one caused you the irritation or the problem. So you want to start easy and just have like one at a time. Make sure that your body doesn't have any adverse reactions to it, and then you can add in something else. Okay, so let me get off my soapbox now. I'm just giving you some precautionary measures because a lot of people, if you haven't foraged in the past and you're new to this, there's a few things that you probably need to know. So anyway, now let's get started on our delicious recipe. And I'm going to aim you down here. We are going to make a wild edible pesto. And so we're going to use each one of these greens that we harvested today. Now, you can do this on a bigger scale or a smaller scale. I'm just going to make a small batch, and I've got my little, like, this isn't a bullet. It's not one of the NutriBullets or whatever, but it's a smaller, like, blender juicer machine. And so I'm just going to use a little bit of each one of these. And, yeah, so let's get started, and I'm going to get me, first I'm going to grab my scissors over here so we can cut a little bit of our wild garlic or wild onion. It's called a variety of things, but it's the wild, like I said, you'll know it because it looks like green onion tops or garlic scapes, if you've ever seen those, anything like that. And when you cut them, you can smell them, and they smell like they're in the onion family. So I'm just going to dip a little handful of these into my container here. Okay, so I've got a little bunch of the wild onion in there, and I'm going to put a little bunch, a good handful of the purple dead nettle in there, and then a small bunch of the henbit. And now, like I've said before, the purple dead nettle, they both have medicinal values. And the purple dead nettle is a great, like, antihistamine, anti-inflammatory. It also has some diuretic properties. The henbit is inflammatory and a good chronic pain reliever, and has also some diuretic properties as well. So, but like I said, you want to go easy on this. Now, if you do make a pesto and you mix it up, and you've not tried these before, and you have some kind of a reaction, you're not going to know which one you had a reaction to. So from that point on, if you do it this way, you'll need to separate them up and check which one, you know, eat some of the henbit a little bit and see if that affects you. And then if not, then you would know it's the purple dead nettle or vice versa. So we've got our greens in here, and I'm just going to add just a little sprinkle of salt, probably about a half teaspoon or so of salt. Okay, and I'm going to put a garlic clove, one whole garlic clove in. And, oh, I forgot to get my walnuts out. I'm going to sprinkle a handful of Parmesan cheese in there. And now if you only have the grated kind in the can, that will work too. Get all that down in there. Okay, and let me get my walnuts and I'll be back. Okay, so I've got my walnuts here. Got these at the one of the Amish stores in bulk, and I'm just going to put a little handful, maybe quarter cup full in there. Maybe just a little tad more. Okay. And now I don't have olive oil, but I do have avocado oil. But it's a mild flavored oil, so it's not going to be a problem. And yeah, I put my salt in. Okay, so I'm going to put my lid on, and I'm going to start pulsing this. And my lid has a little hole in the top of it right here, like a spout. And that's where I'm going to pour in my oil. And I'm only going to need a little bit of oil. So let me start pouring that and get that in there. Okay. And I almost forgot I brought out my funnel so I can pour my oil in the funnel. pour down in the top of there, our little thing here, so I can stir that around and get it down in there. Okay, we got it going now. Let me see if I can get my lid off. There we go. And there we have a nice, delicious looking pesto. I'm going to taste it and see if I need any more salt or anything. Tastes pretty good. I think it's garlicky and stuff enough. I'm going to add a little bit more Parmesan and a little bit more nuts. Now I do want to mention once again that the purple dead nettle, even though it's in the mint family and the henbit is in the mint family too, it does not taste like mint or smell like mint. It's got a completely different flavor. Okay, so here is our pesto. Let's give it one more taste. Make sure we have enough salt and different things in there. I'm pretty sure we're good on the salt. If nothing else, I probably got it a little bit too salty. But it's pretty good. So I hope you'll try this recipe. Go out and do some foraging. It's God's gift to us. You know, these are free. And you may say, I don't want to eat stuff that I haven't got from the grocery store. You know, but you obviously have to know that the stuff at the grocery store, most of it has been sprayed with chemicals when it's been grown. Unless you can afford to buy organic everything. And even then, you're not going to get some of these things in the store. And these things have medicinal values and properties, especially like in the spring. If you get spring allergies, this purple dead nettle is perfect for you because it has antihistamine properties. So make some of this pesto. You can pour it on your eggs. You can dip veggies in it. You can use it on pasta. If you're eating low carb like I do, you can use it on spaghetti squash or the egg life wraps cut into noodle shapes. It's good for just about anything. And so yeah, I hope you'll try this. Don't be scared of foraging. Don't be scared of some of the names. Do your research and have a good time. These are gifts to us in the springtime, and you know, even throughout the summer and the fall, you can find wild edibles growing in your own yard. And yeah, enjoy yourself. And so I thank you for joining me here today at Life on Turkey Lane. I hope you've enjoyed this little excursion of ours and this little recipe. And I hope you'll try it. Have a very wonderful, blessed day. And I'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye, y'all.